Every major programming language has its own backend framework. We have .NET for C Sharp, Express for JavaScript, Laravel for PHP, Django and Flask for Python. With so many interesting options, why you should give a chance to the Spring Boot and Java? For years, everyone was saying that Java is dead, Java is uncool, Java is verbose, and so on. Then why in the big 2025 every big tech company is still using Java, and not just Java, Spring Boot specifically? And I'm talking here about Google, Netflix, Amazon, Spotify. Even when I was interviewing at Visa, they also were using Spring Boot. Java and Spring Boot are both pillars of the enterprise world. And even if someone wanted to migrate the millions of lines of Java code to other language, it would take so much time, money, and effort that is just not a viable option, at least in the foreseeable future, before we get the general purpose AI that will do everything for us and we lose our jobs anyway. So it we won't care by then. And if you don't even want to work in big tech companies, like for example Google, Netflix, and so on, look at your local job postings and compare how many offers there are and what are the payments compared to other languages and frameworks. And for example, for junior positions, before I was working with Spring. I was trying to get into the PHP because I had some commercial experience in PHP. That is a long story, and there was literally zero junior positions in my area. And I'm living in a capital city of my country, where for Java, for example, for junior positions, there were like 20, 30, or even 40 positions for junior developers. That is why, when it comes to job security and salary, I think Java is the goat and is here to stay for the foreseeable future. And I think job security and salary is something we all care about in the end. Another argument against maybe not Spring Boot, but Java in general, is the language verbosity. And verbosity, in short, means that we have to write a lot of boilerplate code for even the simple operations. And yes, that is the truth for the most part. I'm not gonna lie. And even the Java developers in the newer versions, I mean Java creators in the newer versions, are trying to fight this stereotype. But what if I'm going to tell you that actually this language verbosity is a good thing? I hear you. Less verbose languages can write more code more quickly and ship features much faster. But have you actually seen a larger projects in languages like, for example, Python, that have multiple developers working on them simultaneously? Because yeah, that becomes a mess very, very quickly. When I was in university, we had a professor that was a big advocate for the Groovy language. And he spent his whole lectures convincing everyone that Groovy was so much better than Java because of the dynamically typed variables and less verbosity, which allowed him to, in a few months, write by himself, of course, a system for automatic project grading. And as an end user of this system, I'm going to tell you that yeah, it was a bug infested slope, and yeah, it was not a good example of a good piece of software. I'm going to leave it there. Of course, we can argue that this was a skill issue on the professor, professor's part, but still a funny story. Anyway, language verbosity is a blessing when working in teams or even in going back to your older projects, because it's so much easier to reason about the code, and the extra time you spend writing this code will be then saved when debugging or when onboarding on a new project. In university, I had one project when I had to create a full stack project using Express.js on the backend and React on the frontend. This project required authentication, and unfortunately, Express.js does not have any authentication built in. So what I had to do is to implement by hand the JWT token, JWT token authentication, which took me like the 50% of the time I spent on this project. In Spring Boot, that would take like 15 minutes, 15 minutes max, which would include adding the dependency, declaring the config, and defining database entities. And this is just one simple example. Spring Framework, which is the base for the Spring Boot, was released in the March of 2004. That makes it 21 years old. And through all of this time, through all of these years, developers created an amazing, huge ecosystem of tooling and libraries that have ready-to-go features out of the box that are just waiting for you to use them in your projects to speed up your development and let you focus on the actual business logic of your application. We have a super easy integration with databases using the Spring Data JPA, amazing testing support with the built-in testing frameworks. In short, if you value stability, performance, reliability, and maturity of the framework, Spring Boot is for you. And if you want to start your journey with Spring Boot, check out this video for the Spring Boot beginners, or go straight to my private Spring Boot community for Spring Boot developers, where I have a full course for Spring Boot beginners. Top link in the description. Check it out. I think you will love it. And till the next time, create some amazing applications.